Alright guys, welcome to this video series as we build Eggplant, the race car Civic.
Oh yeah.
So we just got to get the car in the garage, rip the motor out, take the donor motor out of the other car, and then swap it into this thing. So shouldn't be that tough, right?
It's gonna be a busy weekend.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's get through it. So this here is our donor car. As you can see, it's in pieces right now. We have some suspension parts to put together. So we've got to go ahead and do that and see if we can actually drive this thing into the garage so that we can swap it. It'll be a lot easier than out here. It's -1, I think, right now. So too cold to do a pull. We were thinking of doing a yard pull, but we'll save that for a nicer day. It's supposed to rain later too, so yeah. For now, we're just gonna get this thing running and see if we can get it in the garage. So this is the car. This is the 1.6 VTEC D16Y8. It's an Acura EL. In the US, this would have been equivalent to no car, right?
No.
Does
not exist in
does
the
not.
US.
Okay, so
in Japan, it's a Honda Damani.
Right, and it's pretty much a Honda Civic with the top of the line components on it: the biggest motor, the big brakes, the leather interior, all those sorts of things. So we had two of these. The front end swap from one of the cars went onto Matt's Frankenstein, and this dirty old motor here is going into Eggplant. So these cars have been good to us. They've been good donor cars. Yeah, so it's going to be about I think 12 horsepower increase from the current motor in the car.
And you got VTEC.
Yeah, so we have to make sure that we're swapping all the wiring harness, the ECU. We're going to do the transmission right away. So we're just going to pull everything, keep it all together, make it nice and simple. We have a bunch of new gaskets and seals because this thing, I don't know if you can see how dirty it is down here. It needs some seals. So yeah, pretty much we're just going to get her going. Battery is in. Does she start? I need some starting fluid. Liquid fire.
The nozzle's gonna be a bit loose.
Okay. Come on. Yep. Little leak, but sounds okay. Story behind this car a little bit is it was in a front impact, and I went to the auctions, and when we saw this car for sale on the local classifieds, this plus another, I think 2 other ELs, and the guy wanted to sell them all for a good price. We didn't want all 3. They weren't in good enough shape for us. So we waited another few months. He had sold the one, and we took these other 2 for a really good deal. He was losing money, but he was nice enough to let us have it for a good price. And so these have been good cars to us. Lots of parts we've been getting from them. And so now I'm just going to go ahead, lift this car up so we can get the tires on. Because right now the wheels aren't on. Matt approves.
To show you him doing a burnout on his bike.
Okay. Before we can lift the car up, there's something way more important. All right, you ready? You found the spot? Oh, we got a burnout going on. Oh, driveway peels. There you go. You're gonna need to get new rubber soon. Let that thing go. There you are. Now what? Oh.
Clutch slip.
Yeah. Mint enough.
It'll work.
So we don't have the strut fork in these things, so we have to shove something between the upper control arms so that it doesn't lower to the ground. All right, let's do it, Matt.
Wow, it goes.
Well, there we go, Matt. It is in the garage. Look at that. You got a little, yeah. There's a little footage of us getting it in. It worked way better than we were expecting because how schmated everything was, and the different wheels, and they're all flat, and we don't have shocks on the front. Goodness, that worked. But so this is gonna be really nice for pulling the motor. We were debating doing it on the yard, like I said before, but being cold, I mean, this is the place to do it. We got all the tools, we got the nice floor, we got the warmth. So, well, man, let's just get into it. Rip her out. So, here we have the new heart for Eggplant. This is the D16Y8 out of that Acura EL, and as you may be able to tell, it is nasty dirty. It is greasy, oily, and just all around nasty.
It's like full of dirt and gravel too. You got grass hanging off of it. Like,
Yeah, it's just,
it needs some work.
yeah, I don't know why it's so dirty.
'Cause it's been sitting in a field for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I guess so. So we're gonna do our best to clean it up, and we also have a bunch of seals and gaskets that we have to replace. It's like valve cover, oil pan, rear main seal, front main seal. Also have a timing belt kit, so we're gonna do all of that. Freshen this motor up, put it in the car, put new fluids in it, and it'll be good to go. And we're gonna get started. Today we're gonna do burnouts, and we're gonna be on the track within minutes. So catch up with us later. Now that we've got the engine out and taken apart, we've just been working on cleaning up. There's a lot of cleanup to do, as you could tell before. Lots of grease and lots of oil buildup. I think the valve cover gasket was leaking, and so it made everything below it really nasty. So we're just working on cleaning everything up. Matt has the oil pan off, and he just cleaned it up in the solvent tank. And once that stuff's all cleaned, we're gonna get it back on the motor and assembled and ready to go back in. We have the new timing belt kit in. There's a new water pump, new adjuster. We put a front main seal in, and then we have the timing belt. So that's all looking good and fresh. We have a new alternator that's gonna go in yet. Actually, the alternator from that motor, because that one looks brand new. So we gotta put that on, and right now I am just working on cleaning up this motor. As you can tell, you can see where I've cleaned. you can see that this here is in a lot better condition than this down here. And so that's what we're dealing with, is just this buildup of oil that's just kind of over time built up, like rocks and dirt and gross things like that. So yeah, we're just putting in some time cleaning this thing up. Matt's just finished supper, so he's about to come in.
Should we get this finished?
Yeah. Well, now that we've got the gaskets and seals done, the next step is the wiring harnesses and associated things. So that's the old motor, this is the new motor. The difference between these two motors is, of course, VTEC. Another thing is the OBD2A and OBD2B. That's the difference, and we didn't know that until recently.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, live and learn. Lessons are fun. So what we got to do is swap the connector harnesses from each. And another thing I had to do was go pick up a new ECU for an OBD2A VTEC D16Y8. And that's what this thing is. So because the motor here was OBD2B and had just completely different wiring, and the car, which is sitting outside, did not have the proper wiring inside the car to make that work. There's lots of info on it on the internet from Honda forums back in
2008,
2004-ish, you know, the good old times of the forums. And part of the whole swapping the connectors and using a different OBD2 version is the distributor is a little different. So here is the distributor that we're going to use from the old Y7. So we're going to have to swap that over to here. Matt's already got an big old hole here open with the old distributor out. I'm working on taking the harness off, and the next step after that as well, I believe there is a difference with the idle air control valve solenoid connector. I think those are
the throttle position sensor.
I'm pointing in general.
Oh.
Something on this machine here needs to be changed. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
So we're gonna get to it. Okay, time for wiring harness to come off. That's a good old harness. We're gonna keep that, except we're cutting the V-Tech off. Where's the V-Tech?
Should have labeled that one, but
I did label it, but it's blue tape. Oh, V-Tech. So that one we're gonna cut off to go into the new harness, because that goes to the V-Tech solenoid. And we might find we need a few other connectors, but we'll figure that out when we get to it.
it's a good solid harness.
Well, we are to the point where we have to install the new clutch and flywheel motors on the ground. And the flywheel, you can see, is already on the motor. Clutch is just a whatever stock, whatever Beck Arnley clutch. It's just nothing special. New throw bearing. It's just, you know, it's a stock car, stock motor, so there's no reason to really go anything performance-wise. Yeah, so we're gonna get that installed right now, get it all torqued up, get the transmission ready to go on. Okay, as Matt just said, we got stuff happening right now. We have the motor on the lift, the hoist, crane, whatever you're gonna call it. What are you gonna call it, Matt?
It's an engine hoist.
It's an engine hoist. The motor's on it, is ready to go in the car, which is right back there. So the things that we've kind of done to this motor is we cleaned it up because it was dirty and oily. So we took a lot of the grease and oil off. There's still a lot of work to do there. But we didn't have a pressure washer and we were in a bit of a hurry, so we just did a little bit of cleaning and that's about it.
Got the worst of it off.
Yeah. And so the next thing we did was gaskets and seals because, you know, might as well do that when the motor's out of the car. Things for this car, parts for this car are so cheap, so it was pretty much free to do all of that work. It just took time. Did water pump, did timing belt, timing tensioner, and then all the wiring. You can see some of this blue electrical tape. You saw us do some of the wiring because we're using a different ECU era. It's an OBD2A ECU that we're using on an OBD2B motor with an OBD2A non-VTEC harness. So there's a few things we had to switch over there. Am I getting that right, Matt?
Yeah, that sounded great.
Okay. He's the resident Honda guy, so I gotta ask.
I mean, the motor technically isn't OBD specific. It's the same motor in both eras.
Right,
But
yeah.
it came out of an OBD2B.
Right, so probably some different sensors and stuff. Then we also swapped over the alternator because it looked like a brand new unit on the other car. What else? Took the transmission from the original Eggplant Civic because that just looked a lot cleaner and they're the same transmission. Swapped distributors because that is different from the two motors. And that's about it. Transmission is on, it is lifted on the hoist, and we are gonna go put it in the car right now. Well, we are deep into the night and the car is all ready to go. It's all put back together, all fluids are in. It's still up on jack stands with the wheels on. I think Matt got the wheels on. He does. And we're hooking up the exhaust pipe, the exhaust vent hose right now so we can run this car in the garage. And we're ready for first start. So let's see if all of this work and all our wiring and everything was worth it. Let's see if it starts. Well, it's running good now with no one in the car. It's running on its own. It's a steady 1,000 RPM idle. I think that's pretty good. We still don't have all the sensors in, like the air intake. Currently doesn't have an air intake on, so this air intake sensor isn't connected. But pretty surprising. Like, I think all the connectors and all the wiring we did was accurate.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
We'll see when we actually drive it and see if it hits VTEC.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no check engine lights on right now, and it should be pulling them because this is an OBD2A chassis and ECU, and so it should be bringing up the codes onto the dash.
Problems that'll bring it up.
Yeah. We spun the tires before in first gear, and they go, so the clutch is all working there.
Man, that's good.
Lights, Matt, you jealous?
Yeah, I don't got those. Woo!
It shudders a bit.
Oh yeah?
It's not. When I put the clutch in, it wants to stall. Kind of odd.
But it drives.
It does drive. Well, there we go. There we go. The Eggplant Race Car Civic is, I was going to say done, but it's not done.
It runs though.
Yeah, it runs. And that's the first time we've driven that car since we bought it, like back last fall. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, we got the big swap done. That was the big challenge. The rest of it is just kind of tidying it up and adjusting the suspension for the racetrack, because I mean the suspension is all pretty much done. It's got coilovers. It's going to be good enough to go for at least the first track day.
We might want to put headlights and a bumper on it yet.
Yeah, easy things like that. And then we have a little more weight reduction we got to do. Put some decals on there, of course, and
That's it.
yeah. So once again, I want to say thank you to our sponsor for this car, Noventus Credit Union. They're helping in the building of this car and the racing throughout the season. So big thanks to them. And we're going to say goodbye for now for part 1. So we'll see you soon in the next part when we kind of clean up the rest of the bits, put the bumper on, headlights like Matt wants, decals, all that fun stuff, get it sorted and get it to the track and rip some hot laps, man. Time is coming. Time is coming.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.